I'm reading stories from the Wolston Park Hospital Review. These stories do contain warnings for institutional abuse. This is participant 13, patient. I was placed in the Barrett Adolescent Centre, a part of Wolston Park, in mid-1989 when I was in Year 10. I was 14 and had my 15th birthday whilst in there. I was there for 6 months until early 1990. I was not offered any follow-up or support after discharge, so I struggled and found it difficult to reintegrate back into society and back into the real world. I had a lot of difficulty trying to continue my schooling, especially as I was starting my senior years of high school. 6 months is a long time to be institutionalized and to be removed from the general schooling system and away from my peers, especially at that age. This has greatly affected my ability to be able to access and retain education and learning opportunities throughout my life. The Barrett Adolescent Centre was a terrifying place full of physical and sexual violence, not healing, nor recovery. Apart from the abuse in the unit itself, every day we were exposed to the adult wards and the adults and had to interact with them. I was even stalked by a male adult patient who would approach me even at the adolescent ward where we were supposed to be kept safe from the adult patients from the other wards. The whole of Wolston Park was disturbing, and it felt like I was living through the very same horror movie scenes that my brother's girlfriend would make me watch. Wolston Park has continued to haunt me for decades. No one ever talked about domestic violence when I was growing up, so the violence that I was born into, and which is the reason I was placed in Wolston Park, was not addressed. There was talk of rehoming me whilst at Barrett, however, due to the violence that I experienced both before and during my time there not being addressed, I was discharged back into the same circumstances that led to me being placed there to begin with. This made life even more difficult for me, as I have not been able to find safety and stability. I continued to be preyed on and victimized by men in positions of authority into adulthood and throughout my life. This has led to me having to constantly deal with new traumas to add to the long list of other unresolved traumas. I was abused and institutionalized as a child and then denied assistance from the very same systems that had caused that harm. These same systems now tell me to get over it and move on. As a result, I find it difficult to trust human beings and systems today. I'm still learning how to find my way through the very same system designed to forget the harm they caused me and which refused to offer me appropriate assistance to try to find a way to crawl out of this living hell. Instead of help to address my traumas, I have been misdiagnosed multiple times and even victim blamed for the things that other people have done to me. I have been systematically told to find my own way in a world that shunned me and threw me to the wolves and left me to bleed out on my own. Clinicians and other professionals need to learn how to ask the right questions and to engage with the person in need of care. I was punished by staff for speaking up about the abuse that was being inflicted on me at Barrett. I also witnessed staff trying to silence those that spoke up about the sexual and other abuse occurring there. There needs to be an emphasis on connection before correction so that people can feel safe enough to be able to open up and talk about the traumas and abuse that is being inflicted on them, and to not be punished for doing so. Whether that abuse be at home or in out-of-home care, there needs to be safe options for people to be able to reach out for help and to receive safe and appropriate help. There needs to be a way to follow up with people that fall through the cracks, as some of us never get to crawl out of those cracks and keep being pushed back into them, even into adulthood. The terms trauma-informed and person-centered should mean something and not just become a cliched, hollow and empty catchphrases that they have become today and used by people that inflict more damage and suffering. Trauma-informed and person-centered should mean that further harm is not inflicted on the very same people that have already been seriously wounded by those very same people and systems. There needs to be more education and training about the impacts of trauma and how to interact with people who are trying to recover and trying to survive a world that has forgotten them. Care needs to be taken to listen to what survivors are trying to communicate when trying to speak up about the violence they have experienced. In the words of Brené Brown, in order to empathize with somebody's experience, you must be willing to believe them as they see it and not how you imagine their experience to be. For some of us, it has been a lifelong battle of trying to reach out for help only to be further abused or denied care, thus leaving us stuck in a vicious cycle of abuse and neglect. This then leads to an inability to find safety and stability to be able to heal from compounded childhood and adulthood traumas. There needs to be better integration of systems and services and improved communication so that young and vulnerable people can get a chance at life without having to fight to exist in a world that likes to forget that we even exist. More research and information needs to be looked into the missing middle and those of us that don't fit neatly into any boxes or labels. It needs to be accepted that there is no such thing as the perfect victim, and that we come in all shapes and sizes and can have messy edges and even messier stories. We deserve to be given the same opportunities in life as everyone else, so that those of us that are forgotten and pushed into the cracks in the system stand a chance to recover and heal in a world that likes to forget we even exist.